you.
Mhm.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time, Joseph. How are you?
Yeah, thank you, Tess. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Listen, this movie's crazy.
It's crazy. It's really crazy. It's a
It's,
crazy movie. I know.
it's
I know. I know. I lived it. It's crazy.
I was like, I thought maybe I knew where it was going. I had literally no clue.
You did not expect what hits you in the middle of this movie. No.
No, not at all. I was
No.
like, oh,
Right.
you're a terrible person.
Yeah. I
At
mean,
times.
it depends. He does some morally questionable things for sure. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah.
What is it like I mean, obviously, like there's a reason behind it that can give him a little
Right.
more humanity, right?
Yeah,
So what
yeah.
is it like trying to find that when you're playing him? Because obviously you don't want to like hate the character you're playing.
No, I honestly, it was really simple for me. I think that Bruce is he's incapable of accepting what's happened to his family.
Mhm.
He is he's incapable of grieving and moving on. He believes that he has a way to solve this, to correct this, and he'll stop at nothing to do it. So I think that everything that he does is because of his love and devotion to his wife and his daughter. And the road to hell is paved with good intentions is kind of, I think, that the way that it is for Bruce. Like, I think that he becomes so singularly fixated. He becomes convinced he can play God and that that's the right thing to do. And 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 what he does is corrosive and to him, I don't think that Bruce is a psychopath, a sociopath. I actually think you see the effect that it's having on him. I think that it's very difficult for him and very damaging, but I think that he's so singularly focused and committed and thinks that he's doing right by his family
Yeah.
by doing these things. I don't think he takes any perverse joy or pleasure in any of it. I think he finds it really, really difficult. But what he's doing is still morally compromised, from the sense of like philosophically, like what is a life? Who has the right to
Mhm.
give a life? Who, if anyone, ever has the right to take a life? Under what circumstances? I mean, these are the morally gray areas that he's really operating in, and I think he's been driven mad by the whole experience as well.
Oh, for sure. I mean, how could you
You know,
not?
how could you not be, right? Like 168 of them or whatever it
That's
is,
crazy.
decades of this, this has been, he's been on this same path forever, doing the same thing over and over and over again. And clearly just, it's breaking him.
Yeah. And I don't think it gets easier for him either.
I don't think so. I think it gets more and more, I think the closer he gets, the more challenging it is.
Yeah. There's that moment on the bed with him and Alice said, and
Yeah.
I was like tearing up, like I was getting so emotional. I was like, this is terrible.
It's horrible. It's
Like
horrible.
for everyone involved. Like I don't think it was easy for him at all.
No, and that was a hard scene to shoot. That was
I
a
was gonna ask
really,
you.
that was like, when I think back on like every scene I've ever shot, I was like, oof, okay, here we go. I think that again, it's like he thinks that he's doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't, he hates it, hates doing it, feels horrible. I think he's disgusted by it. And at the same time, I think that he thinks that the end justifies the means to get there, which really is just so emblematic of like all the horror in the world, you know what I mean? Everybody's like, well, we're trying to get to here. So unfortunately, a bunch of people are going to have to die on the way there.
Yeah. Oh, how do you emotionally come out of a scene like that? Because that had to have been
Oh man.
so intense for you.
Yeah. Oh man. I don't even, that was just a scene where I was like, I don't want to swear on your podcast, but
No,
that
you're
was a
fine.
scene where I was just like, fuck me. Like I was just like,
Yeah.
this is gonna be horrible, when I have kids.
Yeah.
And I think I love Juliana and we became really close and we became friends and she's so good and so professional. And I think that, having conversations with her beforehand about her comfortability. And so I think that like feeling like I was sort of caretaking, you know what I mean? Like, as
Yeah.
I did the scene where she was probably like more well adjused than me, to be honest, like to
Yeah.
do it, you know? But that was a really hard scene. I don't even remember. I probably just walked it off like I did a lot of the scenes in this movie. We were out in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah.
or I shouldn't say middle of nowhere, but you know, we were out in in the fields, you know, and there was a lot of space. I mean, there were a lot of hard scenes. Like there was a scene where he's just like screaming in the cornfield.
Oh, I know.
I mean, that was a hard scene, you know, to lead up to. I feel like the lead ups are even harder. Like you do it
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, I'm just gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh my God. No, I know that scene with Alice. I was like, oh, he's like talking to her. And then I was like, what's he doing? No, no, no.
No,
Oh
no,
my
no.
God, this
Please
is
don't.
terrible.
Please don't. I
I
know.
was like, no. And then the scene like lasts long, like uncomfortably long. Like it's not even
So
that long,
long. It's like it's
but
it remind do you know the scene in Lady Macbeth that's
yes.
similar? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like what I thought of. And that scene is so disturbing that I was like, oh my God, it's like that scene.
Yeah. Oh, I was like, this poor man has to do this. I felt bad
No.
for you in the moment. I was like, it's gonna be hard.
Yeah, you're never getting used to that, no matter how many times you do that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. But then you and Jessica are so good too. Like there's
Thank
so
you.
many great scenes between the two of you.
Yeah, we
And
became really good friends.
oh good.
Yeah, I love her. You know, we talk all the time now, but it was the first time that we met. But I think that we quickly caught a vibe and fell into a pretty deep trust, pretty much immediately, which allowed us to explore some of the more intense places that we went together.
Yeah. This is a lot of intense parts
There's
in
a
this,
lot of intense.
in this
Bruce is not
movie.
living an easy life, let me tell you. Like,
No. And
yeah.
then like so I'm gonna hold this until after the movie is
Okay.
out. But I gotta tell you, the very last line of this movie broke me
I know.
because when I was like, you're telling me that's actually her now? Like, what was
Yeah.
it your reaction when you read that?
Well, I remember I think that, and BT could give you a better idea of this, but I think that like what is the line gonna be was up for debate. Like what would
Mhm.
she say?
Yeah.
And how do we know? And I think eventually they figured it out that she just calls for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just like blows your mind at the end of this movie. You know what I mean? It just like it breaks your heart and it blows your mind. And in some ways, you know, Bruce was self-sacrificial and got, you know, did what he set out to do, even if he
Yeah.
wasn't around anymore to see it.
But that's so sad.
It's so sad. No, I know, of course, it's a tragedy for him in that regard. But when people try to play God in sci-fi movies, like they end tragically, like that's
That's
just
true.
you know what I mean.
It
Like
never really works out,
we'll
does
never learn. We'll
it?
never learn.
No. I did love the moment too when he thinks he found her and he's like crying in the bed.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah, that scene. I know. And then she's duping him.
I know.
That was probably my favorite scene to shoot, I would say. That was what was so funny about that scene is like it's a love scene, you know what I mean? It's a sex scene. So like of
Yeah.
course like actors, you know, we're like, "Oh my God, okay, we're doing this sex scene." So like somehow I don't know why like it didn't like on my way in, I was like, "Okay, like making sure she's comfortable with all of this and we've talked through with the intimacy coordinator and like that and I it didn't register with me that like, oh, that's just like secondary to the fact that he's found her, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when we rehearsed it, I was like, oh, whoa. Like it, like I found it almost when we did it, you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
as he was finding it. And I think that because I was distracted and I didn't get in my head at all about it, I was able to really like discover it right then and there. And I think it's my favorite scene that we did.
Oh, it's so good. And he when she's just like, "Did I wake you?" I was like, "Oh my God." I'm
I
like,
know.
you like get happy for him, even though I'm like, he's terrible. He's killing his
I
kid
know.
over and over and over and
Well,
over.
it what's I think that what's funny when you say he's terrible, he is terrible, but because it is an allegory for domestic abuse, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, and gaslighting and all that sort of stuff, right? So like even though in his mind he's doing right by his wife, he's still tormenting all these women along the way. You know what I mean? He is
Yeah.
a bad guy, but for me to play him, nobody's the villain of their own story,
Right, exactly.
so for me to play him, I have to understand about, the why of what's going on. But of course you see him and say, this is a terrible person, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? He's done some really bad things.
But for his, I mean, I get it though. That's the thing. That's what I love about
Yeah.
like a quote unquote villain is like when they are like a gray area, like you understand where they're like he's not doing it to be terrible.
No, he thinks he's doing the right thing. He thinks he's
Yeah.
doing right by his wife and daughter. He actually thinks that he's sacrificing his own well-being for them. He's
Yeah.
like a high-functioning codependent in that in that sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like giving. He thinks he's giving of himself fully, but he's like he just can't let go. He just
Yeah.
can't accept that this is, and he has the technology, so it's like the worst
Yeah.
of all worlds, and he's off the grid, and he just like can't move on with his life. Like there's just he's so dedicated to this this person and to this version of his life. And I think that, we talked about Bruce and his capacity to connect with people. And we thought that like Ellie was singular in this sense. Like I don't think that Bruce had a long dating history where he had all sorts of
Yeah.
beautiful, incredible women in his life. You know what I mean? Like I think that Ellie's capacity to fall in love with Bruce was a one-time thing for Bruce. So I think that that helped to better understand his fixation, because he's like, how do I put this delicately? Like he's a scientist, you know what I mean? He's not
Hmm.
like, I would say his IQ is much higher than his EQ.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Well, congratulations. You're
Thank
so
you.
good in this. This
Oh,
movie
thank you so
is
much.
crazy. I can't wait for people to get to see it.
Thanks.
And thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks. But I want to start off with like as like your debut film, like writing and directing this. What was the biggest challenge for you on it?
Honestly, I think the biggest challenge was the weather
Oh,
when we were
really?
filming. Oh yeah, it was. It certainly was. And it led to some happy accidents too. There were certain scenes that were supposed to be outside that were inside, scenes that were inside that were supposed to be outside.
Oh my God.
We were constantly having to evaluate the schedule because of the rain and the weather that seemed to be ever changing on this shoot.
I love it. Well, I want to ask you about, obviously this main character, he's not the Bruce isn't the best guy. Let's say that, right? He's not the best guy at all. But you feel for him somehow, which is hard to do. Can you talk about the balance of making it so that like he's literally killing his daughter and his wife, like, and these women, like over and over, and yet you still feel bad for him at times?
Yeah, that was one of the things that we really wanted to come through was, he's doing these horrible things, but in his mind, um, these are he can just restart. These
Yeah.
are these are files that he can just save the file and start again. And he's a little bit blinded by the fact that he wants to so badly recapture this moment in his life with his family. And he's been doing this for so long that he is, I think, a little desensitized to what he's doing because he's so focused on the goal. Um, and it's sad because you can see that there's a part of him that's really good, but he's really kind of convinced himself that what he's doing is not that bad because of why he's doing it.
The moment when he like puts his hand like over Alice's mouth on the bed, I was like, oh no, he is not just gonna kill her. And then when he did, I was like, oh my God, this is like the mom in me was like, this is so hard to watch. But then just a little bit later, when Ellie comes back and like fools him and he's like emotional, he gets emotional thinking he found her. I'm like, now I feel bad for this guy. Like, what is going on? It's that duality, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and Joseph Cross does such a great job with Bruce, playing all these different fractured pieces of this poor broken man.
Yeah. I got to ask you about the final line because that completely broke me when she's just like, Bruce. Like, so obviously she's the right one. He found her. It's kind of heartbreaking. How did you settle on that being the final line of the film?
You know, it's interesting. We had a handful of ideas, but that was something that we actually found on set when we were exploring a lot of the different things, and that's the idea that stuck. Something that's just simple, but lingers with you.
It absolutely does. I was like, oh, now of course it's her after all this. Like, I could have gone so differently, you know? It's crazy. I do want to talk about those, I don't know, the like egg eyeball thing, whatever it is, that like cocoon thing. How did you settle on that design and what was it actually made of? Because it's so cool.
So I had some early sketches of kind of what I envisioned it to look like, and I was so blessed to have Dan Rebert, who is special effects mastermind, agree to work on this film. And I gave him some of my initial designs, and he really kind of went to town and brought it to life. And I have to be honest, I don't know exactly what it's made out of, but I
Yeah.
know that it's Dan's own special recipe that he's got. That this is kind of one of the things when I was looking for a special effects artist, I started thinking about the films. I said, who does this type of thing that I need the best? And there's a movie called Slither that I'm a big fan of that
Yeah.
has some incredible effects in it. And I was like, well, I'm going to reach out to the person who did these effects. And I reached out to Dan and got him the script, and he ended up coming on board and doing his magic.
Oh, it looks so gooey. And like the way it stretches, I'm like, oh, it's so gross, but like so cool at the same time. It's very cool. Are those like eyeballs? What are they? Because I was trying to figure out, are they eyeballs? Are they eggs? Are they what do you think they are? Like what are they supposed to be?
So the idea is that these are kind of like synthetic organisms that can kind of turn into what they need to turn into. And so it's supposed to feel a little bit alien because it's not something that we've seen really before. And
Yeah.
it starts off with a biology that isn't familiar, but it eventually turns into what it needs to.
It's so cool. Where did you get this idea from?
I'm a huge fan of movies like The Fly and The Thing and Alien, and so I've always wanted to do something that about people transforming into things, and you know, uh, so I think that just over time, watching all these films as a kid, a lot of this stuff is just kind of ingrained in me.
Well, I'm glad you thought of it because it's such a cool movie. It's so much fun. And it never went where I thought it was going, which is always fun when it can surprise you. But I want to talk about Jessica because she's so good in this. Like you need the right lead actress to pull off all these different versions of this same sort of character, and she's incredible. Can you talk about working with her and like, just what makes her so perfect for this lead role?
Absolutely. I've been a big fan of Jess for a long time, and you know, Lindsay, our casting director, got the script to her, and we got on a call and started having conversations about it. And the thing about Jess that's just so incredible is she comes in and gives 1,000%, and she's got so many ideas, and she's so smart, and she's thinking about everything in the scene always. And it's just such a great collaboration working with her on this. From crawling around in a sack full of goo to a tender, heartfelt moment, and she just nailed every single emotion in the film.
She's so good. And she has so many, like when she has all that, I imagine it's just a bunch of prosthetics on her face. like after she's been beat in the face, and she's like, I'm like, you still feel bad for her. You can like barely see like one eye and her face is open. And I'm like, I feel bad for her. Like you can connect with her, you know?
Yeah, yeah, she definitely, you know, even through all the makeup and everything, you still felt for that character the entire time.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm looking at one eyeball. It's all she can give me right now. And she's still so good, you know? It's so great. It's such a wild, like, I feel like we've seen so many things in sci-fi and so many things like feel repeated in sci-fi. And this feels so completely new. It doesn't feel like anything I've ever seen before.
Well, that's awesome, and that's, really, we tried to come up with something that, did feel fresh in the way in that it, we executed it in the way the story is told.
Yeah. The like I have two daughters. So like the mother-daughter stuff in me was like killing me watching this because the fact that it's not even her daughter, but she's still like trying to be a mother. Can you talk about the importance of like putting that in there? Like we know this is a different woman, right? We know it's not technically her mother, and there's still that connection and that maternal instinct there.
Yeah, that was really important because, even though she gets to a point where she realizes her situation, she also realizes Alice's situation.
Yeah.
And, she doesn't want that for that poor little girl. Um, and she wants to do what she can to break her free of this cycle as well.
Yeah, no, it was heartbreaking. There's so many moments. It's like ups and downs and twists and turns. And I was going through all the emotions watching this, terrified, like in the when the one version of her starts attacking her in the woods. I was like, what is happening? This is wild. But it's so good. It's so fun. So congratulations. And thank you so much for taking the time today.